typically about right here.
Hello?
Hey, he has
What y'all done made that man do, man? What y'all meant?
Okay, look, you ain't finna be
Hey,
on Kiki Palmer's phone. You ain't finna be on Kiki Palmer's phone plan.
And I just learned this man's name.
On Kiki Palmer's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Talking about what Kiki Palmer can and cannot wear. Because baby, it's Kiki Palmer.
Y'all don't bully that man on social media.
Good.
Y'all evil.
Oh, I don't work here. I like this one there, my shit. But yeah. Believe it or not, that's science working. Turn that good. Yeah. Thank you. With all this technical stuff. They want to mic you up an SD, so we'll do that. So, let me see if you're ready. You guys ready? Are you guys ready? Are you ready? We're getting him set up. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. No, you. Step forward, What's down the middle? Right where the mic is. Yeah. You guys can look. You're right down the middle. You're this way. Thank you.
Good.
Yep.
Well, welcome to Big Creek. It's Fulton County's largest water treatment facility. We've obviously had an unusual event here that we'll have David Clark, our Public Works Director, explain. We also have a plan to correct for the biological process that was interrupted. And we have been in constant communication. So just a couple of comments before David starts. Number one, generally what we're dealing with is a sewer spill. That's a broken pipe or a manhole that overflows. That's not the case here. This is a little bit more complicated. It's a biological process. And as we'll explain, that's one of 4 steps in the process of reclaiming the water from wastewater to making it safe to go back into the river. 3 of those processes are still working fine. It's the biological piece that is not, and it's the one more complicated. The plan is to introduce microorganisms back into this plant. Something disrupted that process, killed those bugs that generally are here and working every day. But we do have new bugs being introduced. In fact, 12 truckloads a day. We're up to 40, I think, now that come from Johns Creek Environmental Campus. And that plan is showing progress and will work. And then on the issue of communications, we started early communicating what we were finding. It took about 48 hours to determine that it was this type of issue rather than a simple break in a pipe. As soon as we learned that, we began to communicate on email, social media. I personally have been communicating daily with the EPD director, as well as with the mayor of Roswell and the mayor of Sandy Springs now that the issue's been expanded. So I feel very confident that what we've been saying, how we've been saying it, and who we've been saying it to has been comprehensive and transparent. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you to explain the process that we're going through and the fix to that process that was disrupted.
Great. Thank you. I'm David Clark. I'm the Director of Public Works here for Fulton County. And so a couple things we want to stress. The plant continues to remain operational. The wastewater that's coming into the plant is still being screened to remove all inorganic material. It is receiving partial biological treatment, not the full treatment that we typically see. And then once it leaves that area of the plant, it comes down and gets fully filtered and disinfected before it's returned back to the Chattahoochee River. As Dick was saying a few minutes ago, the biological process is what became upset sometime late last week. We're not sure what the cause is yet. We are still doing investigation on all of that, but our focus right now is to get that biological process back up and running. We've been bringing in good microorganisms from our Johns Creek plant to seed this plant, basically to remove the old bugs, we call them bugs, the microorganisms, and replace them with young, healthy microorganisms that can do the biological process of filtering out the organic material that's in the wastewater. On Monday of this week, before we started that process, only one of our 7 biological basins was in operation. 6 of them had the issue with the biological process and made them not functioning like it was supposed to. We started bringing in the bugs on Monday. By Tuesday, 2 of those 7 basins were showing signs of biological treatments. Today, after trucking in for 4 days, we have 5 of the 7 showing signs of improvement. We expect the other 2 to come online over the next 24 to 48 hours. So with that, the biological process will begin to start up again, start treating primarily the E. coli issue. Until that time we are doing additional disinfection here at the very end of the plant to try to kill off as much of the E. coli that has made its way through the plant as fully as possible. Right now, our permit with EPD, we have 7 parameters that we're required to monitor on a daily basis. 2 of those 7 are back in compliance, and we expect the rest of them to be in compliance immediately after the biological process has been restarted and fully recovered.
When you were talking about the 7 sections in the basin, is it accurate for us to say these are 7 separate quadrants that you guys are approaching to enhance the biological process?
Yes.
And can you talk about the testing? To my knowledge, you all also do your own river water testing, correct?
Correct.
Was the county aware of any elevated levels of E. coli prior to the river people notifying the county about it?
No. We test the effluent, which is the treated water, before it leaves the plant and into the river every morning. The Wednesday morning test of last week showed no signs of E. coli. It wasn't until later on Wednesday and all day Thursday and into Friday is when E. coli started showing up from our tests. So up until last Wednesday, this plant was fully in compliance.
Why is it taking this amount of time to clean up the issue?
It's a biological process. It's not like when you have a broken sewer pipe that once you replace that broken section of pipe with a new section, the problem goes away. This is a biological process. We literally have to let the bugs, the bacteria, the microorganisms grow so they can do their job in the treatment of wastewater.
Who's accountable for this? Who's going to be held accountable?
We will be able to answer that question in more detail once we find the cause of why the biological process failed.
Any time frame on when the water's going to be safe?
Again, it's a biological process. It is not nearly as quick as any of us would like. It is something that has to take time. We are hopeful that in the next 24 or 48 hours.
There's been some concern from the water keepers specifically that some of the contaminants that have made it into the water put extra stress, not lethal, but put extra stress on the other organisms that are in the nearby water source. Is there any concern that if this is not up to code soon, that could be a continuing problem in the future?
Unfortunately, I'm an engineer. I'm not a biologist. I'm not into that type of explanation, so I can't tell you.
And can you talk a little bit about the whole, first can you talk about the fine? Is Fulton County in jeopardy of being fined by the federal government regarding the code situation?
Our permit is with EPD, the state agency. We are accountable to them, and we will certainly respond appropriately with whatever direction they provide us. Like Dick said earlier, we have been in constant communication with them. We were just talking to them this morning. They're very much aware of the situation, and their process will be followed whenever they decide to start following.
So right now, have they threatened the county with any fines at this point?
Everybody has been so focused on getting this plant back operational, we have not had those types of discussions.
Can you talk about the levels? We're being told that there's still elevated levels of E. coli. While there is progress with the biological process, the levels of E. coli are apparently still being reported high. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit more and how this is Mother Nature? I mean, we can't just come in and clean it up as quickly as some people might want it to be, but Mother Nature may take a little bit longer than the public may want it to be.
It is true. The samples that we took yesterday morning, it takes 24 hours for the test results to come back. So we got those this morning around 11 o'clock or so. And those still show numbers above 100,000.
That 10-mile stretch on the Chattahoochee that was closed, is that still shut down?
That is National Park Service. They will have to answer that.
Are you advising them?
We are providing detailed reports to them as well as the river keepers on a daily basis.
You said over 100. On a scale for layman's terms for our viewers who aren't, into this kind of thing, how do you all rate the levels of E. coli? What's the smallest percentage allowed in a river versus what we're looking at right now?
Our permit states 252 is the number.
And right now we're over what?
100,000.
The only way really to try to expedite this is to bring in increased biologic matter with the river insects, correct?
Yes.
And the county has increased the volume, correct?
The
Of insects being busted.
the bacteria, the microorganisms, yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you give us that one more time? What was it earlier this week that was being, how many truckloads to what's being busted now?
It has stayed consistent.
Okay.
It's 12 truckloads a day, so we're up to 40 truckloads for the week so far. And we have to be careful. Just like if you have too much bad bacteria, it upsets the biological process. If we bring in the new bacteria too quickly, it can also update the process in a different way. So that's why we have to be very careful and meter the delivery of the new bugs over time.
Is there any noticeable difference, like smell or anything when you go to the river that they'll be able to smell or anything like that?
There is an odor that was present last week. I do not think it's as bad this week.
Mr. Clark, I just want to give the county an opportunity to respond just because the river keepers went on the record and basically they're calling this, without a doubt, in their opinion, a sewage bill. Can you explain to viewers why the county doesn't classify this as a sewage bill?
And it really comes down to both of those words. And again, we're not trying to be cute with the terminology. Sewage traditionally means raw sewage that has not been treated at all. This is being treated. It is not being treated to the level that we want it to be treated, but it is being partially treated. Second part is spill. Spill is typically attached to when a pipe breaks. In this case, no pipes broke. In fact, we spent the first 48 hours at the suggestion based on what the river keepers thought was happening, looking for a broken pipe. There's not a broken pipe here. So that's why it's not a sewage spill. It is an issue with our effluent, leaving the plant not treated to the level that it's supposed to be that's entering the river. That is certainly the case, but it's not a spill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your name again is David Clark?
Yes.
With an E at the end or no?
No,
And your title again is?
Director of Public Works.
Thank you.
And you can go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get some shots right there.